Camille, David, you are here playing a duo concert. I know David a longer time than I do know you. So how did you come together?
We met 4 years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago at Ludwigsburg festival. And the owner of this festival asked David to invite someone he wanted to play with, but he never played with, so he invited me.
Okay.
And
it's a risk.
Yeah, it's quite a risk. It's quite a risk, and we had an afternoon to prepare to see what tastes we have in common and to build a show. We discovered that we had classical roots in common, Brazilian music, and the jazz, of course. So we put all of this together, and it became this project, Playground, 3 years after.
Okay. David, did you hear her version of Giant Steps before you decided to work together?
Yes.
You did?
I knew Camille.
You were not afraid about it?
No, I wasn't afraid. But I knew Camille, yeah, she got quite famous with all kinds of different videos on YouTube, singing different solos, and I knew her from there, yeah. And I invited her, and actually then the concept of the festival owner of Schlussfestspiel in Ludwigsburg was that Camille also invited someone. Back then we were a trio with Médéric Collignon, a great trumpet player from Paris. Yeah, and we did those first concerts as a trio. And then later, I think, during the pandemic, like 2021, Paul Zauner from the Intöne Festival, for me the coolest festival in Austria, he invited us as a trio first, but Médéric couldn't do it. And then Paul said to me, no problem, I pay you a train ticket to Paris. Then you rehearse as a duo in Paris. And I went to Paris, and then he said, just come as a duo. That actually was the start of the duo.
For me, it was the first time that I heard you with this giant step thing, and I thought, this is not possible. And then I heard you and saw you, and even singing some lyrics in French. And then, no, can't believe it. How did you come to this one?
You know, finally, at this time, so it was quite a long time ago, it was in 2016, I was practicing like finally all the jazz musicians are doing, transcribing some solos. It's quite common, but maybe which was not that common is that I sang it and memorized it. The most of the time we transcribe, we write, and we learned. So I guess at this time it was quite. It was not current, not common to see someone singing these solos, and maybe a woman as well. It was 6-7 years ago, so it's not representative of my work because I compose, I'm writing my lyrics, so it's cool that finally because of that I became a little known, But at the same time, it's not really. It's a little part of my musical life. I love to improvise, but to improvise in a very different way, not in the bebop, especially. So this is funny that everything started with this.
David, you come from Austria. You told me once that your parents were great listeners to Keith Jarrett, you as well then. And well, this is kind of a developing now that you have playground with Brazilian music. And how did you come to this?
Well, actually, two guys from Brazil were a very big influence to me. And actually, on the album Playground, it's the first tune and the last tune. The first tune is by Egberto Gismonti, Frevo. And the last tune is a composition of mine called Para Hermeto. I wrote for Hermeto Pascual. Yeah. And those two guys really inspired me. I mean, Hermeto is one of my big heroes. He wrote like one song every day in 1998 for a whole year. He did that, yeah.
And for each country as well.
Yeah, and I liked that idea so much that I did the same in 2009. I published like a personal real book. So he was really a big influence for me. And when we first met, we discovered that we like have common ground there. We both like Hermeto, Egberto, and much more, of course, on Playground. Yeah.
Camille, you grew up in the Normandy, in Paris, and in Nice. You lived in these three regions. These are not classical regions to get up with Brazilian music, is it?
15 years ago, I went for the first time in Brazil because at this time I was not really doing just music. I was writing plays for children, and I just had an aid from the estate to go 3 months in Brazil and to collect some stories from there and to make a play. And finally, I fell in love with this country. I met exactly the good people, and that's why I always came back. I learned to speak Portuguese, and I did many collaborations. Ivan Lins, I met Hermeto, Nelson Faria, João Bosco, Hamilton de Holanda, and I went there maybe 25 times to play, and so it's really my second house.
Aide-moi à me faire accepter cette roue s'ensuit dans les idées.